Scuderia Ferrari is the oldest and most successful team in F1, and it therefore holds this almost mythical allure most drivers can't resist. Driving for Ferrari is a privilege, not a choice. Their passionate fanbase, the Tifosi, tend to propel their drivers into demigod status. Think of a Gerhard Berger, Eddie Irvine or René Arnoux, not ones to feature in many F1 fans' minds, but still revered in Italy for their stints at Maranello, even though none of them could bring home a championship for the Scuderia. Now imagine being only 18 years old and making your Formula 1 debut for them on a scary, fast, unforgiving street track. This is exactly the situation Oliver Bearman was trusted in at the 2024 Saudi Arabian Grand Prix. When regular driver Carlos Sainz fell ill with acute appendicitis after the Friday free practice sessions and the Spaniard was needing a smooth operation, his Ferrari team sought a quick replacement. Luckily, the team's official reserve driver Oliver Bearman was already at the track competing in the Formula 2 race that same weekend. In fact, the young Briton had just taken pole position for the F2 feature race, but now got to make his F1 debut instead. On Saturday he did fairly well, considering he never even sat in the SF-24 before, and with only FP3 as a warm-up, he still qualified a respectable 11th, just missing out on Q3. His calm demeanour belied his inexperience and young age, and many were mightily impressed on how level-headed he stayed, pushing the limits on the daunting Jeddah Corniche circuit. During the race he acquitted himself very well, staying out of trouble in the first few laps. When Lance Stroll did his Lance Stroll thing and crashed, Ollie took advantage of the ensuing safety car period that put him on an alternative strategy. He managed to pull some nice overtakes after that and found himself in the points in 7th. In the latter stages of the race it was evident he was starting to struggle physically, his head bobbing around in the cockpit on the twisty bits of the track. Making his life even more difficult were his two fellow Brits Hamilton and Norris chasing him on fresher soft rubber, but in the end Ollie held his ground and crossed the line in an impressive 7th position. Points on debut for Ferrari's youngest ever F1 driver, and voted driver of the day by the fans. Not bad. I have to admit that I didn't really have Bearman on my radar from the junior categories. I knew he had a fairly good F2 debut season in 23, winning a few races as a rookie, even taking an impressive double win at Baku. His highs however were as impressive as his lows were depressing, and even though he ranked second highest rookie at the end of the season, there was more hype surrounding his new for 2024 teammate Andrea Antonelli. Being part of the Ferrari Driver Academy, he had already done a few FP1 sessions with Haas in 2023, and after his impressive debut with Ferrari in Jeddah, he took part in a few more free practice sessions with the American team. He unsurprisingly signed with them later on and made his race debut for the team much earlier than anticipated when Kevin Magnussen received a race ban for the Azerbaijan Grand Prix. Bearman again showed impressive speed and composure to finish that race in 10th, scoring yet another point on his debut for Haas this time. Another opportunity was given at the Brazilian Grand Prix, again deputizing for Magnussen. This race weekend, however, was a lot tougher, and he finally showed some errors you would expect from a rookie. His F2 season in the meantime was more of the same as the year before, where he mixed the good results with some very bad ones. He was also comprehensively beaten by his new teammate Antonelli in the standings. His full-time F1 debut season up till now has been quite comparable, from having a torrid first weekend in Australia to scoring points 3 races in a row. It's hard to paint a picture yet of Bearman. The angel-faced Briton certainly has the speed and maturity beyond his young age, but he needs to show some consistency in his results before he can be considered as F1's next big thing. Having said that, I clearly think highly of him, and that's why I bought this model of his debut race with Ferrari. Quite surprisingly, only Italian model maker Looksmart were the ones to produce a 1/18th version of the SF-24 driven by Bearman at the 2024 Saudi Arabian Grand Prix. Rival brand BBR have also made several versions of the SF-24, but sadly no Bearman debut model. This made the choice for this model an easy one, although I was originally planning on getting Charles Leclerc's Monaco or Monza car. I might still get one of those after all, but they aren't out yet, so no need for that dilemma right now. As I mentioned, BBR have made several other versions of the SF-24, like the blue-ish Miami Grand Prix version, or a Sainz Australian Grand Prix winner. Their models usually come in what they call polyfoam packaging, although they also have these more luxurious versions with a leather base and display case. Looksmart too have produced various different versions of this car. More extra versions will be produced by both brands, like the Leclerc Monaco or Monza editions. Burago and Amalgam have also made their own versions of the SF-24 on either side of the quality spectrum, but for me the Burago is too toy-like and the Amalgam, although expertly modeled, unacceptably expensive at around €1,200. I think the BBR and Looksmart models are much better bang for your buck. The differences in between those two brands mainly comes down to personal preferences, or in this case with the Bearman version there is no choice to be made. The model I got then from Modelissimo, not sponsored by the way, unfortunately had a big flaw on it. The decal on the front wing looked like it was melted, so I sent it back to be replaced with this one here. I have to commend the people at Modelissimo, they were very understanding and helpful, and within a week the issue got solved, so hats off to them. The model then comes in the same style of packaging Looksmart have been using for some time now for the Ferrari F1 models. The box is simple matte black with the Cavallino Rampante on the top part, together with a Looksmart logo. I can't remember when they switched from the red boxes to these black ones and why, but it looks pretty clean. On the front and back then, it's indicated this is not a toy. And on this side there is a sticker with the model's info on it. The bottom then has Looksmart's contact details and the Ferrari licensing info and hologram sticker, and of course the model's barcode. The box then is pretty heavy too, which I think is a good sign. The weight mainly comes from the base and display case the model is encased in. The top part of the box then slides off, popping open the bottom part. There is still some protective mousse paper around it to prevent scratches on the Perspex cover. Some more plastic bands are holding it into place then. And a protective mousse cradle protects both the base and cover from rubbing on one another. The base the model is presented on then is as usual black with a velour finish on it. A brushed aluminium plaque with the model's info is featured in front of the left side. It looks very pretty with the Ferrari badge on it and the SF-24 in the team's specific typography. So yeah, this is a promising start. Let's see if the model is as classy as the packaging it comes in. And as usual, I'll start with the areas that I think could be improved, so we can end on a good note. Now, there is not too much wrong with this model at first sight. One thing that I did notice immediately though is the quite visible panel gap where the nose tip attaches to the front wing main plane, and this is supposed to be a much more flowing section with a much less visible seam. Since this is a Looksmart-Spark model, I immediately will look at the steering wheel to see if they still don't model it after the real one, and unfortunately they still don't. What really baffles me is that they used to make the correct steering wheels at some point, I think for the 2017 to 2020 Ferrari models, and I don't know why they gave up on that. They could even reuse the old ones, as the Ferrari wheels have not changed that much since then shape-wise. In all fairness, it's a nice looking wheel and it has some details on it, but it's simply not correct. The way the bulkhead then likes detail too is a bit disappointing. The holes in the sidepod inlets and airbox are a bit too shallow to my taste. In these wheel brows here, the slit is unfortunately not cut out. And the same can be said for this piece here in the floor. The exhaust pipe then is also a bit too clean looking, I think, and lacks the heat discoloration like on the BBR version. Another issue most Looksmart or Spark models have is the way the decals look on matte cars. Since this SF-24 is very much matte red, it kinda has this problem too. It's especially visible on the nose section, and they somewhat solved the previous issue by using a color matching background for the decal pieces, but it's still a bit too visible though, and this is quite noticeable on the parts where it crosses a body panel line. Finally then, the wheels and more precisely the tires could be improved as well. The BBR has these more detailed sidewalls with these embossed lines in it. The Pirelli half circle lines then are a bit too thick on the Looksmart model, and this is something they and Spark have struggled with to get right in the past as well. They also unfortunately did not sand the tires down enough. There is still the seam visible in the middle. The wheel nuts then are not too accurate. This again is a Looksmart Spark thing where they have been using those generic shaped ones for quite some time now. And the ones on the BBR, or especially the ones on the amalgam versions, are much more realistic. Now we got all of that out of the way, let's focus on the good parts of this Looksmart model. First of all, the packaging with the acrylic display case and black velour base is very stylish and qualitative, and it gives this model an extra premium feeling. The car itself also looks awesome from the get-go, I think. The finer details are visible basically anywhere you look, and it's obviously a very fine detailed model car. One of its biggest assets compared to the BBR and even amalgam versions are the cutout front and rear wings. All these slots in between the many front wing elements have all been beautifully cut out, and since the flaps bend and flow into the lower part of the end plate, it makes that the side view of the wing on the Looksmart model looks absolutely mint. Even the massively expensive amalgam model doesn't feature this detail. On the rear wing too, the elements then are cut out, and this is a bit more straightforward as there are only two parts, the main plane and the upper flap. On most of the BBR versions this is the case too, but weirdly enough on their Miami version then it is not. Amalgam again drops the ball in this regard with a completely closed rear wing. The cut in the BBR versions is also quite significant. They left a substantial gap in between the elements, and as you can see on this Looksmart model, it looks spot on. Aside from the cuts in the wings, the detailing on them is also really nice. I like all of these fine support elements on the front wing flaps. The little sensors on the inner end plates and on the upper flap element is also a nice detail. I then also really like the end plate that is ever so slightly curved and not completely flat. The carbon texturing on the wing too looks very nice then. On the rear wing too, then the carbon look is well done, and they didn't forget to add the small control dots, including the ones on the lower beam wings. The DRS mechanism is nicely modeled, and the back of the end plates do have the rear light LEDs on them. Thankfully, this Saudi Arabian Grand Prix version is also pre-HP sponsorship, so it still has the cleaner looking all-red livery with the beautiful classic Ferrari lettering on the black upper flap of the rear wing. On the nose then, this small NACA duct is carefully modeled. I also really like the clear body panel lines on the tub with the small holes, let's say, mimicking the rivets. These yellow rings around the nose quick release screws is a good added detail. The striking pitot tube is made from a very thin metal and looks much more refined than on any of the other brands. The 360 camera too is delicately replicated as well. The driver figurine then doesn't look too bad. It has these plastic belts with some fine photo etched buckle parts on them. The driver's helmet then is really nicely done too. The striking yellow on it is contrasting nicely with the vibrant blue and almost metallic silver. The decals of the helmet then look very good and they wrap around the helmet beautifully. I really like the bluish visor, and that fine see-through chin gurney looks very impressive too. The race-specific aero appendages then attached to the halo is an interesting addition. The whole mirror construction with the underbite big lip from the sidepod intake too is handsomely modeled. Underneath the intake lip is a small vertical slit then too, which is barely visible due to the dark carbon texture. The big floor end fence is quite a significant piece. These Venturi tunnels underneath the car then have been beautifully replicated, with these inner turning vanes being a bit thicker than the outer ones. The shape of the top part of the side pods then is very much inspired by Ferrari's own F1 75 model, with these scalloped carbon fiber parts that flows down to the top of the diffuser. These small support struts then are a fine added detail. The big gills in the engine cover cannons are nicely modeled too. I also really like the triangular shape of the airbox with these support pillars underneath. The shark fin then is very thin, and the back of it points up a bit, giving some more room to present the car's number on it. The rear suspension then has a very interesting geometry, and especially those lower wishbones are very beautifully replicated. The big diffuser has two fine metallic colored beams then connecting it to the rear crash structure, and on the end of it the rear light looks quite good too. The exhaust pipe then is thankfully hollowed out deep enough, and I like how it goes through this central DRS support pillar. The wheel covers then are not too bad either. Ferrari was one of the few teams to use these colored ones, and I don't mind them at all. They definitely add some character to the car. The big hole then for the tire valve is a good detail in it. It's just too bad there's no hint of a tire valve in it then. As usual, I added the extra markings on the tire sidewalls and the barcodes too. And I tried looking for some good clear pictures from the race, but they were not 100% clear, so I basically made up my own based on what I guess would have been written on the tires. I also wanted to accentuate the rivet dimples by coloring them in this copper ink. And I then also tried to make the exhaust pipe look a bit more used. These small alterations then don't make a massive difference, but I think it does improve the model that little bit. So then, final verdict about this model car. Well, if you're looking for a model of Oliver Bearman's debut F1 race in scale 1/18th, this is your only option basically, unless BBR suddenly decide to make one after all. Luckily, Looksmart did a very good job on this model. It's every bit as good as you would expect, with all the good and also the lesser things that usually come with a Looksmart model car. It's certainly a high quality model, and the fancy display case and base give it some added value. I don't know if this is really for everyone. I guess the Leclerc Monaco and or Monza versions will be more popular releases. For this Bearman car I did wait until I could cop it somewhere with a nice discount on it, because yeah, I wasn't really willing to pay full price for it. But yeah, now I can't say I'm regretting my decision, well, for now at least. So this then concludes my review of the Looksmart Resin 1/18th model of the Ollie Bearman Ferrari SF-24 from the 2024 Saudi Arabian Grand Prix. Thanks for watching, I hope you enjoyed it. Make sure to leave a like if you did, and check out the other content on the channel too, like this comparison video I made on the Looksmart and BBR versions of the Ferrari F1 75. Don't forget to subscribe, and in the meantime, take care, and I hope to see you in the next one.